Addressing reporters in New Delhi, Jaiswal has said that discussions with Washington are continuing in a positive and constructive manner, as both sides seek to finalize the deal. Let's listen into the statement made during the conference.
India-US bilateral trade that we are engaged in. We continue to remain engaged with the US side to conclude a trade deal, and these discussions are continuing. On the specific questions of, of tariff, etc., I would refer you to Ministry of Commerce.
The update comes after U.S. President Donald Trump's trade diplomacy spree at the APEC and ASEAN summits, where Washington has sealed the trade deals with Japan, South Korea, Malaysia, and Thailand, while signaling progress with India. Meanwhile, India's Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal has stated that earlier this month that talks are cordial but cautious, stressing that no agreement will be signed unless India's farmers, fishermen, and MSMEs are fully protected. Now for this discussion, we welcome Professor Veselin Popovsky. He's a professor and vice dean at Jindal Global Law School, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Professor, for joining us again. Good to see you. Professor, what do you think, what is taking US and India so long to reach an agreement?
Not too long. It was first announced in February, and the discussions started. There were 5 or 6 rounds. And obviously, if you want some obstacles, one is that the trade is very complicated as such. This is a big nation. We are talking about $190 billion. That was the estimation back in February, and now the plan is to go to $500 billion. It will be one of the biggest exchanges in the world. I mean, comparable probably only with China, United States. This will be the second biggest in volume trade deal. But also some tension arise because first of all, India continues to buy Russian oil and gas, and something which Donald Trump made very clear that he is not happy with that, and that's why the tariffs were imposed as well. But then there was a step from India saying that they will reduce, and they did reduce the amounts of Russian oil and gas being bought by India. And also, as you mentioned already, there needs to be some protection, some safety for various categories, sectors. For example, like farmers need to be protected, especially because when you increase the trade, then obviously domestic producers are a little bit unhappy because if you buy cheap products from abroad, then the domestic producers need to have some sort of protection, and that goes primarily to the farmers. Obviously, cheap products, mostly agricultural products from abroad, will affect the domestic farmers, both ways, by the way. That apply not only to India, but also to the United States. I'm sure the products the agricultural products in India are very good, they're excellent quality, and they may also kind of challenge the producers in the United States. So, but they go well. By the way, the message is very positive today. What we hear from the Ministry of External Affairs is that we might have the first tranche of the deal agreed very soon. The deadline was posed as October, November, and we are just in between October and November, so we might have in a couple of weeks already the first part of the agreement signed, which, again, it doesn't matter when exactly. I'm sure the trade goes on anyway. A lot of volumes are exchanged anyway, and somehow the two governments want to put that into kind of a framework, and which is important because it creates a legal framework with some sort of protection, some sort of guarantees, so that if companies are not happy with their counterpart, they can refer to official bilateral between two governments deal, and that will obviously open new opportunities. So I'm very positive. It will happen. no matter when the deal is signed, the trade will increase, and that's not because government says so, but because this is the nature of the trade. Buyers and sellers are looking for the best deals. India can sell and can buy so much. It is the biggest population in the world already, with more purchasing power over time. Obviously, India is an excellent market for American goods, but vice versa. America is also a big market for some modern technology, for example, and other Indian goods. So I'm very positive on this. What government says good, because they show commitment and they are very positive in a way, you know, and I'm sure this announcement also came on the day when we hear from Donald Trump after his visit to South Korea. He signed such a deal with Japan, with South Korea, with China at the airport, Busan in South Korea. Prior to that, he was in Malaysia and signed also similar deals with Thailand, Malaysia, possibly soon with Philippines, with Cambodia. So it is a week of many US trade agreement all over the region in Southeast Asia and East Asia. So obviously this announcement comes from India, because the question comes, where does India stand in those series of United States signed deals? And the message is quite positive. It's coming. We are putting the final touches, and it will happen very soon.
Right, and building on that answer, what safeguards are necessary for for India and also U.S. to protect their domestic industries, and how do you think, how will India balance its domestic industries while protecting their domestic industries?
Yeah, I'm a very kind of a free market economist, and I prefer not to see much intervention from governments. So for that, I'm a bit reluctant to go that way. Usually what governments do is give subsidies to their own producers. Basically, they pay some of the costs, they reduce taxation, they try to stimulate domestic. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. Every government does it, not only India. So it's a very normal way to subsidize the own producers. In other words, for their final products to become competitive somehow, to become cheaper than those that could be imported from other countries. So one way to do that is through the domestic subsidies to the producers. And the other way, which I also don't like very much, is the protectionism. Somehow to impose quota, some limitations to imported goods from abroad. But again, when we talk about free trade agreement, those needs to, like in the European Union, there are no such things as limitations, quotas, tariffs. It's absolutely free in the European Union to trade whatever quantity anybody wants. But between India and United States, it will be not a free trade. It will be mostly bilateral trade agreement. And exactly, that trade agreement will have restrictions. It will have protection for domestic producers. Obviously, because also the markets are quite different, the producing price is quite different. So there will be protectionisms, but limited, and there will be domestic subsidies, but also limited. So in other words, the farmers shouldn't worry. I'm sure both governments, India and United States, will take care of their farmers so that their business continues and not ruined. But on another hand, everybody needs to realize when such competition arises, they need also to do better. They need to offer higher quality of products on a reasonable price. Otherwise, if you produce too expensive goods, and if these goods don't match the quality of the global standards, if you can buy those from abroad in a better quality or cheaper, then your own products become more vulnerable. And people, producers realize that, manufacturers, farmers do realize that. And effectively, they improve their quality of their products, but also try to put limits on the cost of production.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Professor, for sharing that. Please stay